that. And now we have another panel coming up, and we actually have a surprise. So this panel is going to be with Nico from the Ethereum Foundation on the Kohaku Koi. And we have special guest Polymutex coming up as well. So let's give a big round of applause for our next talk. You guys know how to do this, 2 hands together. All right.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Thanks for having us. We are here to talk about WalletBeat. So earlier today, you've heard a little bit about L2Bit. And WalletBeat is a very similar initiative. As you can guess, it is the L2Bit for wallets. So I want to give a small introduction about how it all started. So many of you know there is a website called Ethereum Magicians where core developers and community contributors post their ideas about how we could improve Ethereum. A lot of great work has been done on Ethereum Magicians, amazing posts. You have the kickstart of the Ethereum L2 roadmap that has been posted here by Vitalik a few years ago. And so how it all started. One day, I am one of the administrators of this forum, and one day I spot this very interesting post about making Ethereum alignment legible for wallets. And I was like, OK, this is very interesting. I was actually working at the same time on the exact same topic, and I had a note in my computer that was very similar to this post. So I was kind of triggered. I was like, who is this guy? Interesting. He has ideas very similar to mine, so I replied to this post, I engaged, and I was like, let's see where it goes. So this was my version of ideas for a wallet dashboard. But as you know, at the Ethereum Foundation, we do a lot of things, and I didn't really have time to make this project a reality. So I started to interact with a few people, and with this anonymous contributor, and I was like, OK, let's try to make it a reality. And turned out that there was actually a few wallet dashboard projects at the time. They were good, but they were not perfectly neutral. Some of them were run by companies that were providing services for wallets, which is, as you can imagine, a complex situation to be in if you want to actually rate wallets and give them grades and define criteria that are good for wallets. So when you do a dashboard, what is very, very important is to push some values that are matching the ideas that you want to promote. So I'm quickly going to talk about the Ethereum values. Sorry about it. It might be the third or fifth talk where you will hear about Ethereum values, but it's good to repeat them. So we stand for openness, trustlessness. Trustless, this is the name of the conference. So trustless values that are bringing people to coordinate around systems that don't require intermediaries. Self-custody, which basically allows you to own your assets truly. And so we wanted to reflect these values through a dashboard that will rate wallets. And it's super important because in the wallet ecosystem, you have a lot of incentives to actually do nothing. If you know the wallet ecosystem, if you're a wallet dev yourself, you know that any change, any line of code is a risk. And so in a sense, you're incentivized to just do nothing and to keep your wallet safe as it is. I've been a wallet dev myself. I am working on a wallet these days, so I know this very well. It's very hard to build a wallet. It is very, very hard to go to sleep as a wallet dev and to know that you may wake up the next day and basically money is gone. You're the one who did the mistake. And everyone can directly point to your GitHub commit saying, Git blame this guy. This is this guy who made the mistake. So being a wallet is extremely difficult. And we want to make their life easier. We don't want to tell them what to do. We don't want to be their teachers. They're very good developers, they don't need us to develop very good code. But they need us to push and to incentivize to change their code base to reflect these values through their program, to their code, through their hardware. You have a lot of different ways that you can do good things within a wallet, and you have a lot of different ways where you can do bad things within the wallet. And you can check how far this experiment has been going. Right now, you can check beta.walletbeat.is.limo. It has just been redesigned, I think today or yesterday. Anyway, there was a big upgrade very recently. And it's looking better than ever. So have a look at it. And without further introduction, I will leave the stage to this anonymous contributor who posted a message on Ethereum Magicians a few months ago.
Can I get the clicker? Oh. Let's go. Thank you, yes. Hi, my name is Polymutex. As Nick has mentioned, I've been working on this dashboard for roughly the last year, along with other contributors, including Nick himself, including Daryl from Farcaster, and a bunch of other folks from the EF and others that know who they are. This is roughly what the site looks like now. You can go to the QR code if you want to check it out. It looks a lot like L2Beat, but you'll notice there's more pie charts because, as we'll discuss later, there's just many more things to care about in this topic of wallets than in terms of L2s. There's not just security, but so you see here security for wallet would be its own vertical, and there's a pie chart for each of these. And we also have the same stage system. This is the update that Nico just mentioned that was just pushed yesterday, although it is still a bit in flux. Again, the site is only in beta, and the methodology is not complete. So, you know, work in progress, but we're making progress as fast as we can. If you go on one of the per wallet page, this is what you'll see for each of the attribute groups. This one, for example, is the self-sovereignty one that looks at certain of the wallet attributes here. And it gives you like a rating for each of these, again, same as L2Beat. If you go into a specific one, like the transaction inclusion one, you'll get to this block. So this one here is about, can a wallet do transaction inclusion, meaning does it get censorship resistance for users? And the way it tests that is, can you withdraw your funds from L2 permissionlessly without any intermediaries? So you need to do a forced inclusion transaction on L1 for the L2 to give you back your funds, and you need to be able to do that without intermediaries. You can see that this one is required for stage 2, and Embuyer fails this attribute. I don't mean to pick on Embuyer. Every wallet fails this test right now because none of them implement forced inclusion transactions for L2, meaning they do not have censorship resistance for L2s yet. Here you can see some details about why Embuyer fails this attribute, so some more details, why this attribute matters, so why censorship resistance matters in this case, how WalletBeat evaluates this for wallets in general, and what Embuyer specifically can do to improve on this particular aspect.
And we love Embuyer, by the way. We love Embuyer, by the way. We took this example just randomly because we needed to take one.
Yes, yes. Again, also, I don't mean to pick on Embuyer. I think they're currently the most comprehensively rated wallet and also the best on most attributes. And again, this particular attribute, almost every wallet fails them. So no beef with Embuyer here. Before going over a lot of them, which there are a lot, I wanted to talk more high level about the philosophy behind the methodology of how wallets are rated on WalletBeat. At a high level, as Nico already mentioned, we want to align with Ethereum values. And we've tried to list them out with these 5 categories: security, privacy, self-sovereignty, transparency, and ecosystem direction. I'm not sure why some of the icons are not rendering, but there are pretty icons on the site. The inspiration for all of these are largely from Vitalik's 2 blog posts, one of which was on making Ethereum alignment legible, which was in general about dashboard organizations, as he calls them, of which L2Beat was like the big example. And the other one was what I would like to see in a wallet, which is Vitalik's post specifically about wallets, of course. All of the attributes that WalletBeat looks at is based on verifiable behavior of wallets. This means, for example, that instead of looking at the privacy policies of wallets, we'll likely look at the network packets that they send, because that's a much more objective and verifiable property that wallets do, as opposed to a trust me bro kind of guarantee that privacy policies would give us. If something is not verifiable, then that also means that the wallet is failing in some dimension on the transparency value. So itself means that if we can't verify that the wallet is behaving in that way, then it means the methodology itself is wrong. We try to not pick winners. What that means is that WalletBeat cares more about outcomes for the user as opposed to specific standards. I think a good example here would be private transfers. There's many ways to do private transfers on Ethereum. There's, I don't know, Tornado Cash, Railgun, there's privacy pools, there's stealth addresses. And WalletBeat is not here to pick a solution between them. WalletBeat is here to make sure that users get privacy on-chain. And it doesn't really matter what implementation wins out. What matters is that it's implemented in an actually privacy-preserving manner, and it provides privacy for users on-chain. So we aggregate over all of these. One important exception to this rule is for when it comes to interoperability, which is quite relevant to this conference. Interoperability is where you do want standards, and you do want things to be fully standardized, interoperable, interchangeable, because that's what allows markets to be efficient and competition to be open. WalletBeat is also limited to what's technically feasible in the present. So WalletBeat currently does not, for example, have an EIL attribute because, well, it wasn't really public until today. And so for this reason, while it does look at some of the cross-chain attributes, it does not look for EIL integration, but that could be one that can be added. Another one that it doesn't do, for example, is you can't ask a browser extension wallet to do things that is literally impossible to do inside a browser extension framework, which is quite limited, and so methodology has to be limited by that principle as well. That said, the bar will rise as technology rises. For example, L2 light client verification is not possible except on OP stack chains mostly, and so WalletBeat does not currently require that, but if L2s make that progress, then WalletBeat will eventually also require that as well. The bar is set high first, because it's much easier to lower it later as opposed to start low and then raise it, because that makes a lot of people unhappy. So as I go for these attributes, if they seem quite pie in the sky, this is why. Yeah, this is philosophy in a nutshell. Another thing I want to touch on generically is that WalletBeat distinguishes between data we have about wallets and evaluations of those. We call them features. So features are observable pieces of information about wallets. For example, do you display transaction fees transparently? Or what license do you use? An attribute is a way to evaluate a wallet based on this objective verifiable information. So its input is features. For example, here, the license that the source code is under. And the output is a rating, meaning do you pass, do you fail, or there's like a partial rating for like middle ground type of situations. For example, if it takes the license as input, then is it open source? Yes, no, so pass or fail. This decoupling allows a couple of benefits. It allows complex rating logic. So Vitalik's has talked a lot about the walkaway test in his blog posts. And a way to encode that programmatically is to use this kind of structure, because you can't just ask wallets to rate themselves based on do they pass the walkaway test or not. It's a very complex question. Instead, we ask only wallets, how do they work? And then we translate what that means in terms of the walkaway test. It also allows to keep the feature that we ask out of wallets teams to populate about themselves quite simple. I realize this is quite hazy still, so I wanted to give some examples about how this is distinguished. Here's a feature data, like does the wallet have a light client for L1 or not? And we can turn this into an attribute, which is does the wallet verify the integrity of the L1 chain? This looks kind of similar, but notice on the left, this is what the wallet does. And on the right, this is what the wallet provides to the user, which is a degree of trustlessness about the RPC provider it's using. And this here is one-to-one, but it doesn't have to be one-to-one. For example, if you take the source code license, you can derive is the wallet free and open source software, but you can also derive is the source code publicly available for auditing. And you can also go the other way. So on private token transfers, for example, if the wallet transfer function integrates privacy pools, then you can say users have on-chain privacy. But if it integrates with Railgun, you can also say users have privacy. And so those things feed into this pipeline, and that is how wallets get rated. The other cool thing about this structure is that from a data entry perspective, wallet teams can input data about their wallets that's objective and verifiable, but they don't get to decide how that data is interpreted, because that is part of the evaluation logic. And so we only ask the wallets teams about the left half, or we enter it ourselves, and then automatically we get the ratings that are objectively and similarly applied across every wallet based on objective code. All right, that was a lot, and now I'm going to go through all the attributes, which there are a lot. Part of the point is that to show that there's a lot to care about in wallets. I'm going to go very fast. Yeah, we'll try to make this work. For each of these attributes, I'm going to say just roughly what it does and why it's important. If you want to learn more about any one of them, you can go on any WalletBeat wallet page and look at the methodology and the rationale behind the attributes. Anyway, let's go. We're going to start with security. Scam prevention should be fairly self-explanatory, but this is about things like address whitelisting. Do you check the contract you're interacting with against a database of known bad contracts? That keeps users safe. Chain verification. This is the light client verification for L1. That removes trust dependency on Infura or other RPC providers. And down the line, it will also enable RPC providers to be interchangeable so that you can have more privacy down the line in terms of how you get chain data. Hardware wallet support, so that you can air gap your keys, right? Account recovery, can you recover your account if you lose your seed phrase, if you drop your phone in a bottle of water, this type of thing. That prevents your lost user funds. Transaction simulation should be fairly evident as to why it is beneficial for users. Transaction legibility, kind of the same idea. You need users to be able to know what they are signing. And the Bybit hack happened, which in large part was due to the fact that it's very hard to tell what you're actually signing. So this checks that and some other benchmark transactions to see if it's clear what you're signing. Security audits, this is just best security practice. Bug bounty program, also best security practice, and it makes sure that if bugs are found, security bugs, then they have an incentive to be disclosed rather than being exploited. There's probably more to come on the security front. WalletBeat has received a generous grant from the 1TS initiative from the EF, for which I and the other WalletBeat contributors are grateful. We also are in talk with CoinSpect, who has done a lot of work on researching security specifically for wallets, and they have a lot of wallet data that we would like to also use and derive attributes from. Let's go for privacy. Private transfers, I think, is the least controversial one, right? We should have privacy by default, and right now wallets are basically in their HTTP era, and we need to get into the HTTPS era. App isolation is a bit more controversial. It is part of Vitalik's maximally simple L1 roadmap, where he describes this as a way to isolate dApps so that you don't create basically a data trail as you use dApps, one dApp in another, because otherwise if you reuse the same address, then you're tracked across them. This is a huge UX challenge, and it's going to be very difficult, but I do think it is a bullet that needs to be bitten. That is also the word that I think Vitalik uses. Multi-address privacy is about if you have multiple addresses, then does anyone get to learn that those two addresses belong to the same person? Otherwise, that ruins the point of having different addresses in the first place. Address privacy is, does any external provider or entity know your Ethereum address plus another piece of information about yourself? That includes your IP address, and a lot of wallets do not meet this test for this reason. This is important so that no one tracks you basically across the web. It's kind of like if a web browser would track your activity as you browse the web, which is pretty bad. And this is actually like my pet issue if I get to have one. This is like what really motivated me to start working for real on WalletBeat, because, well, I was using a wallet and I was like, oh, let's just try to see what kind of request it's doing. And this is a very popular browser extension wallet. To give you a hint, it has 5 letters in its name. And here it is making an HTTP request that contains my public Ethereum address and the URL that I'm connecting to. And it's sending that to their server. And of course, it's not using a proxy at all, so it also gets my IP address, which that really pisses me off. And like, this needs to change. This did change for this particular wallet once I posted the screenshot. I don't know if that was causal or not. Now they make 2 requests with the same cookie across them, so they still get the same information. It's just slightly less obvious. Self-sovereignty. Self-hosted node, can you use your own self-hosted node? This is one of the things that's required for the walkaway test in case the RPC provider just disappears under you. Account portability. Can you import your account into another wallet that's independently created so that you get to keep all your accounts? Also necessary for the walkaway test. Account unruggability, which is, can the wallet development team, if it gets compromised or turns evil, can it take over your account? This is particularly relevant for smart account types of things where they might have one of the factors that is part of your smart contract wallet. And it also makes sure that's like custodial wallets are treated as such. Transaction inclusion is the one we briefly mentioned earlier, to make sure you have censorship resistance on L1 and L2, because otherwise you don't really own your funds, right? All right, we're almost there. I realize this is a lot. Transparency, source availability. Can you see the source code? Important for security and auditability. Open source. Are you free in open source? Seems important. Fee transparency. Do you display fees clearly? This is not just in transaction. This is like in built-in swaps, in bridges, and all that. Like, is it clear what you're actually paying? And then there's order flow transparency, which is a bit more subtle, which is what happens to the order flow data that you're creating as you do transactions. You know, wallets can skim some value off of the MEV, and they should be transparent about what they do. This is very similar to the way that payment for order flow disclosure works in TradFi. They have to disclose this, and so wallets should too. Funding transparency is the wallets. Is it clear how it's funded to make sure its development is going to be sustainable, and to make sure that like the wallet it doesn't get tempted to sell your personal data to make more money because they need more money. Lastly, ecosystem. This is the last one, and this is also where interoperability starts playing a part. Account abstraction and transaction batching are two things that 7.702 and 4.337 have enabled, yet we still don't see that a lot in Wallet, and that needs to change. So WalletBeat's trying to encourage some of this. It enables better UX for users, better security due to smart accounts, and better DeFi use cases with atomic transactions. Address resolution, can you send to ENS addresses? It's 2025, and there's still some wallets that still don't support this. Browser integration is where we do want interoperability through standards, because we want browser extension wallets to be interchangeable with each other to keep the market healthy and competitive. And chain abstraction, WalletBeat does have a chain abstraction. It does not include EIL because it's fresh off the press, but it does look at cross-chain balances and built-in bridging to smooth out some of the UX pain that the fact that we have many L2s now causes. And lastly, hardware wallet interop to make sure that you're not locked into a particular hardware wallet and you have interoperability there.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So we just discovered EIL today. Maybe one day it will be part of the ecosystem attributes. It could fit very well here. We've been going through all these attributes and features. Some of you may know we are also at the Ethereum Foundation working on a wallet initiative named Kohaku. Kohaku will never be listed here. It's not meant to be a consumer wallet, but the SDK that we will be providing can definitely help you to reach some of these paths and some of these stages. Especially, we have this one address per dApp feature and some of the private transfer features, so definitely go check Kohaku too. And I hope that one day we will also have a way to simply integrate EIL within wallets.
Yep. And +1 to the Kohaku being like a possible implementation, but again, WalletBeat will care about the outcome that Kohaku provides, but that other implementations can obviously satisfy. That was a lot. Just a little breather here. How do we make sense of this? So this is a lot of dimensions to care about wallets, and like as a wallet development team, this gives you targets to hit, a lot of them. Where do you start? How do you make progress? And as a user, like you see a huge number of pie chart slices with lots of colors. How do you really make sense of it all? This is where the stage system comes in. This is an idea that was shamelessly stolen from L2Beat, which introduced this. It's a cross-cutting rating system across all of the attributes and attribute groups. And so there's 3 levels, stage 0, stage 1, stage 2, again, same as L2Beat, and roughly the same meaning, although it's a bit more squishy, right? Like you have stage 0, which is table stakes for a wallet, stage 1, which is somewhere in the middle, and stage 2, which is as good as we can think of for a wallet. And it's not clear where the bar should be for like stage 1 specifically, because that's like the middle ground. It should be something meaningful, but it's difficult to express that in a way that is like cuts across all the dimensions at once cleanly. If you have ideas, again, please contribute. This is quite fresh and like not fully fledged, so we welcome ideas here. We also want to encourage wallets to do progression across specific attribute groups. And this is where I think something like the badge system that L2Beat also has can come into play. So for example, to encourage wallets to make sure that users are safe for security, we could have milestones across the security attribute group to say, okay, you've now made a significant investment in security, and we can define what that means with what the badge is, kind of like achievements. Same for privacy. So like once you have private token transfers by default, you can get like a privacy is normal badge. For censorship resistance, you can get like a wartime ready badge for built into Open Wallet if you're like open source and fully transparently funded. And you can have like a fully interoperable rainbow if you implement all of the standards and interoperability features that WalletBeat looks for. Open questions that, again, welcome your feedback on. What about hardware wallets? Here I talked about software wallets specifically. There are actually attributes on WalletBeat for hardware wallets as well, but they are not as well fleshed out as the software side. And there's still a bunch of methodology that needs to be.
Yeah, I know someone was supposed to work on these attributes, and this someone is me. And I've been doing a lot of different things for the last few months, so if someone has a passion for hardware wallets, we're definitely looking for contributors. Yes.
Embedded wallets is something that we haven't started to look at all, and yet it is critical because as a percentage of Ethereum usage, it is growing, and therefore, like, we need to start taking into account how do we do actual censorship resistance and unruggability for these types of things. Those are thorny questions, especially the way that they are currently implemented. What about stages for those types of wallets? They should probably be different from software stages, but again, methodology needs to be defined here. How do we get wallet teams to care? This is a problem for any so-called dashboard organization that L2Beat has had to face. We don't just need a dashboard to exist, we need wallets to care about what the dashboard says. And that means credibility, it means community engagement, it means having outreach, all those things. So again, we welcome your support here. How do we know when to change the bar? If it's too high, too low, we need a feedback mechanism in case the bar is not being helpful, but it also needs to avoid capture by wallet development teams who have an incentive to change where the bar is. So again, a difficult balance to strike. And sustainable funding, because wallets will update, methodology will change, the data that needs to be collected about each wallet will change, and so there needs to be a sustainable development model, which L2Beat has cracked, but WalletBeat is not there yet. This is the end. There's a bunch of QR codes here. There's the site, the repository, Farcaster channel for social conversation, and X account for updates.
Thank you so much. Last word to close this. This is the trustless conference, but Ethereum is built upon trustless systems. We don't put trust in the code, but if you contribute, we will put trust in you, as we've been doing with Polymutex. So it is a trustless world, but we put some trust where it matters, when need be. So please come contribute with us. We'll be welcoming you.
Thank you.
I have one quick question from the audience. Will this be part of the Ethereum.org wallet list?
Sorry?
Will this be part of the Ethereum.org wallet list?
I will negotiate with my colleagues. I'm sure we can find a deal.
We actually discussed this yesterday.
All right. Negotiations ongoing, I think yes, but I can't speak for the Ethereum.org team.
Awesome. Thank you for your time today, guys. One more big round of applause.
Thank you.